Hi, I'm Angel Davis with Angel Davis Coaching, and you're listening to Verbally Naked, a podcast devoted to the enhancement of relationships, or at least we hope. I'm with my sidekick.
Oh, Peter Hermes. How you doing, Angel?
Hi, I'm all right.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, another podcast.
It is.
This is I think we're just halfway into season 2.
Yeah, well, we're kind of getting closer to wrapping things up. I mean, December is scary.
That's right.
But it's fast approaching. Scary thought. So, this week, we are going to delve into a topic that I find really interesting.
Why do you find it interesting? Because you have no experience with it?
Well, it's true. I don't have any actually experience with it. Outside of knowing people that have experience with it. So I have not firsthand had experience with it, but also because of my personality, I think I would find it possibly a little challenging to meet people this way.
Okay, sure.
My father used to say that I think he felt like it was important when you date someone to really know them. So I've only dated people that I knew and kind of known well, or that, at least knew some friends, or they were like the friend of a friend kind of a thing. Like I've never literally met a stranger that I was like, yeah, I'm going to give you my number. We're going to, call me.
You've never given your digits to anybody?
Not real ones.
Sure, I know.
No, I also, for my audience, I watch a lot of Forensic Files.
That's true. She loves that
I
stuff.
watch a lot of interesting shows that I'm a little bit leery about giving out my personal information, and I always have been though. I don't like that approach. I don't know why. My parents met in a nightclub, and so maybe I just have this whole like story in my head of like, yeah, that's just not gonna work.
Well, that kind of brings us to the topic today.
Yeah.
And that is, in our parents' generation, people met in person. They met at the dance club, or if you're in the military, or at school, I guess. Like my parents met in college.
Yeah.
And they were college sweethearts and things of that nature.
Yeah, my parents actually, I think, did know each other before. Then,
but in person.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, today's topic is the internet. I mean, last week we talked about Facebook, and in this generation where the computer is ever present and is only getting more ever present, we're going to talk about online dating. How do people meet each other now? In this interconnected world that we live in, it seems that the proliferation of computers has made it very easy to get to know somebody online, but it's certainly having a downside to interpersonal physical relationships, if that makes sense. People can be themselves on the internet, and then you throw them into a real situation, and then it can be different.
Right.
So we're going to talk about the computer, and back in when it came about, I guess in the late 80s, early 90s, it was a taboo.
It was.
I remember, it was like, ooh, you met online? Oh my gosh.
Because like you said, I mean, it was everybody mostly met in person. So it was this idea that like you're going out with a total stranger.
What a psycho killer. And,
or whatever. And you just, how is that going to work? You don't know them. You don't know anything about them. It just seemed like a very risky thing. And also.
It still can be.
Oh, yeah.
But the taboo has certainly been broken.
Yes. I mean, I think that there are probably, and like you said, this is probably a generational thing. I think there are probably people that still maybe frown upon it. And let me just say real quick to those who may just be tuning in for the first time, we are looking at how media affects relationships or influences relationships. And we kind of like are, looking at how each one stacks up to what's really going on in these relationships. So last week, like you said, we talked about Facebook and
social media.
Yeah. And now we're dealing with with online dating.
This is a little bit different. I wouldn't consider online dating to be media.
Well,
this is a little bit of a departure. This is more of a platform, I guess.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the internet, we've done television and we've done cinema and we've done music and online dating is not necessarily media per se, but it is certainly something that you fill your brain with.
Well, kind of. I mean, they do have commercials and I mean, they are pitching, a certain outcome.
Sure. Well,
through these.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, through these platforms, like you said. So I still think that there is a little bit of media influence with these platforms myself, but.
Well, let's break it down for those of you who don't know anything about online dating, you included, Angel. I
know some of the sites.
I've actually used.
Let's talk about this.
I have actually used a few of these websites in the past when I was a single guy, because where do you meet people? And this can be an easy way. There are upsides and downsides to this. But let's just break it down. First, you have to pick the site that you want to use, and there are some that are just general. If you're looking for other people that are looking for people, there are those sites. For example, one of the biggest ones would be like Match.com.
Right.
eHarmony.
eHarmony, right.
There is. I'm just looking at a list here. The ones that I used, I did OkCupid, Match, and eHarmony. And those are just three general. You make a profile, you put some pictures up, and you fill out the little, what are the things that you're interested, what are you looking for? It's very, you can be honest, you can lie, you can do whatever you want.
Well, yeah, that's kind of.
And you're hoping to, attract people to your profile, and then you start kind of a texty internet conversation. And if it goes well, then maybe you want to grab a coffee. Just let's meet in person, make sure you are who you say you are, and maybe there's something there, and it kind of goes from there. There are sites that are a little bit more specific. If you are, say, a certain religion, they certainly have ChristianMingle.com.
Yeah.
If you are only looking for people that have your same faith, JDate is for Jewish folks.
I think that's one of the ways that they broke down the taboo, because when it first started, it was so generalized. But I think having so many platforms that are very specific to more people's needs, I guess, I think that it therefore probably the probability of success went up with a lot of these. And so it became like, oh, well, maybe this does have some validity to it, is my guess on that. Because I think they got really smart with that by making it very... by having so many more specific things.
Yeah, and they've evolved in different ways, too. There's a site, Tinder, which a lot of people are at least familiar with.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it,
right.
But I
well,
don't...
what Tinder is, it just lets you know who's in that particular location that you're in.
Oh, see, no.
Tinder is really kind of a hookup site, just like
No,
Tinder.
sir.
There's also, for the gay community, there's a site called Grindr, which is kind of the same. It's literally a hookup. Now, I'm not saying that people don't use Tinder to try to find love, but it's really more of a finding convenience.
Oh, but like, I just, again,
it kind of shows you these 5 other Tinder users are within 500 feet of you, and then you're like, hey, I'm sitting at the bar.
I mean,
and it's just, it breaks down the should I go talk to this person? Oh, look, I can talk to them before I talk to them.
And I get that, like, when you check in at places, and I know that we live in a world where if somebody wants to find you, they'll find you. But I'm just like, that's too much for me to be like, oh, that I'm at my bar? No, sir.
So there are sites. There's one called Elite, and that's for working professionals that don't have the time to BS around with, my schedule is such that I can't just date around. I'm not 21 years old.
Yeah.
I might be more of a 40-year-old professional, and I'm looking for somebody who understands what that means. Whereas Tinder and some of these others are, hey, I'm 22 years old and I want to go to shots at the bar, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going down this list. These are just kind of the top ones. There's one for older folks called Our Time. It's kind of for the 50 plus.
They have one for farmers, right?
They have one for farmers.
Which is
they
like,
have,
wow. That's, I mean, again.
Black people meet.
We do meet.
You do. And I don't think that I'm pretty sure, and I haven't really dove into all of these, but I don't think any of them are exclusionary. Like JDate, you don't have to be Jewish to use JDate, or you don't have to be black to use Black People Meet. I don't think, but it's for people that, that's where you would find that thing. That,
right.
If you were looking for
like all of them,
a Jewish partner,
right. They have their thing,
right.
Yeah.
And there's senior people. There's
Be Naughty.
I wonder what Be Naughty is. I mean, some of these are literally, hey, I'm looking for sex, which brings me to one of my points.
That is not Be Naughty. That's just, no.
Well, that brings me to my point. My next point, I guess, would be, what are you looking for when you go on these? Are you looking for a relationship, which is what this podcast is about? Are you looking for love? Are you looking for sex? Some people use these just to find friends. There are social media outlets. Meetup.com, I think, is another one.
Meetup is a good one.
That's just a way I moved to a new city.
Yeah, and that's
I don't know
also,
anybody,
oh my gosh.
and I am interested in cinema,
Right.
and then you can find a group of people that go to the movies
just
every
go to the
week.
movie. Yeah, like
and
Meetup.
You can meet friends that way.
Meetup is crazy. I mean, Meetup, literally, there's so many combinations of things. It's like if you love quilting and unicorns
and smoking cigarettes.
There's a group
for you.
There is a meetup for you that deals with all three of those things. But, so I feel like most of the people that I know that have used dating apps or websites, they are looking for relationships.
Right.
And some
and
have
we
actually,
know people,
some have actually been successful.
We know people that we know a couple that just got engaged.
Yeah, I think,
and are going to be married probably within the year or two.
Yeah, I mean, So I think, like I said, I think there's some validity to how they've developed these sites over the years. I think the thing to be that, I don't know, that might be misleading is that, well, okay, let me address this. Number one, like you said, it does make it easier for people to lie.
Well, certainly.
I mean, but the thing is people can also do that physically, when you meet face to face as well.
Well,
it's just, I think that
on the internet, you can lie on the surface.
Yeah, the internet has made it a little bit more easier.
You can put up pictures from when you were 15 years younger.
Yeah.
Or you can completely lie and say that you're, a 23-year-old woman when you're a 45-year-old guy. I mean, you could do anything online.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little bit.
And that's where the downside comes.
Right.
That's where after, so getting back to how these things work is you create a profile.
Well, yeah.
And you put up your pictures and what you like to do and all of that stuff. And then you start the search, and people are searching as well, and you ping each other. And you see somebody that's like, oh, that person looks interesting or cute or whatever. They work in the same industry as I do or whatever. And so you ping them and you talk back and forth online. And who knows? That's where you're spitting your best game.
Right. I mean, no matter what, at some point, you have to meet. Right.
If it's going to do anything.
Yeah, you have to meet in person, and I think that, it's that whole on paper thing that some people seem really whatever, and then they get together, and you got to have that chemistry. Mm-hmm. So for me, I feel like I'm the personality now. I don't have to worry about it anymore, but I have that personality that's like, I don't want to deal with all that. Like, I want to see you, give me it all right here. Like,
sure.
Just, but I'm still, you have to know somebody. Like, I need somebody to know that you haven't been,
right.
Or what I'm saying. Not that people can't hide things, but it needs to be a shock to 95% of my community if you are crazy because they know you. You know what I mean? But I think that's kind of, I don't know if it's misleading. I just, I watch these commercials and they make it seem so easy. But I know a lot of people that's not. I mean, you have to wade through.
Oh, there's certainly,
just like you would.
There's certainly the swiping aspect, and that's been you swipe until you find.
Right. But I still mean that I know lots of friends that have had to go on lots of dates and wade through just like you would anything else. I guess what's kind of a nice benefit is there is a constant flow.
There is.
You're not having to I mean, that would probably be harder when you're like, well, there's nobody at my school.
Well, it takes
nobody at work.
It takes your social circles out of the equation.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do they say? Don't date where you work or live.
Lies.
Well, and to a degree, I understand what they mean. It's like don't dip your ink in the company well, or whatever that saying is.
Are you just making these things up?
No, it's a saying.
You have no idea what you're saying.
I totally butchered the saying, but the idea is, if you date within your pool of friends and your pool of colleagues and it doesn't go well, you still have to see those people. Well, with dating online, you've never met them before, and you'll never have to see them again, more than likely.
It's true.
If it doesn't work out.
It's true.
And so in my single days when I was using these, I didn't really go on very many dates. I probably only met about four people through the thing, and none of them,
none of them panned out into any type of relationship.
Not at all. And it was, I met, you just sort of like talk to whoever, but I only actually physically met 4 people. One was like at a bar. One we went to a baseball game. The Dodgers game.
Good. Yeah. See, lots of people. I could maybe do that.
You do it so that in case this is a psychotic person. One we met at a restaurant, but like she lived so far away. It was like it was an hour drive, and you have to factor that kind of stuff in.
Yeah, you would have had to have major chemistry to keep that situation going.
Do I want to commute?
Yeah.
To see this person?
Am I worth the commute? Would I have been worth the commute?
Well, that commute was about 1,000 miles. But there are some. I know some single people that they do this. This is online dating. They have their that's what they do, and they cycle through relationships constantly. But they always keep their account open. Like maybe they'll pause it while they're dating whoever, and when it inevitably doesn't work out, they just back to the match,
back in there,
for the next whatever. And some people definitely use it to hook up. I know a couple of friends that use it literally just for that, for hooking up.
And I guess
that is certainly, you take the internet out of it, and some people just do that anyway. I mean, people just date around. There's no difference in that. What the internet allows you to do is be really picky and really choosy, I guess.
Like I said, that's when they got
really smart.
There are no
strings. There are absolutely no strings on the internet unless you run into that occasional psychotic person. but you can literally...
That's the good thing about them being you going to a very specific site. Mostly, that most of these people have and share common interests, so it probably makes it a lot easier to figure out who you want to ping or whatever. Shout out. I don't know how you connect with someone on there,
right.
But
that's kind of like Facebook. You send
a message or whatever.
You ping, you basically poke them or whatever.
So
you send like, I'm interested, and maybe if they send that back, then you throw them a hey.
So if we weren't dating, I mean, well, we're married now, but I mean, if we didn't happen, would you have gone back to that way of searching? Was it a good investment for you?
I personally didn't really enjoy the work involved. It's like...
And what do you mean by that?
It's like going to Ross. It's bargain shopping. It's going through a lot of stuff trying to find, a really great shirt, but you got to go through a ton of these shirts, and some of them almost fit, and you almost find the perfect one, and then it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I do.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot of effort. You're carrying on conversations with multiple people, and you have to keep that straight in your head. Like, who is this again? It's true.
Well, you don't want to say something wrong to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Jennifer. Yeah, when you're trying to hook up with Tracy, right?
Right, exactly. And then say you do go and you find somebody that is worth hanging out with, then it's almost, you're just at the beginning of as if you didn't even have the internet. You've done all of this pre-work just to get to the point where, do I want to date,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
it takes a lot of the workout. I don't know how to say that.
In the beginning?
I guess. So say like you do meet somebody and it's like, I'll give this a shot, but I'm going to keep my options open and keep my profile. And it can get really kind of confusing. So personally, I didn't get any real benefit out of using the sites. And I only did it for about, 6 months. Something like that, just because I was like, well, I'm not dating anybody right now. Let's see what this computer thing is. Because it was, 5 years ago or whenever it was when it was, they were advertising a lot.
Right.
And I was like, because a lot of these sites are free. I only use the free ones. I wasn't going to pay for this
So is
stuff.
your profile still open? Are you still keeping your options open in case this marriage doesn't work out?
I mean... So I,
but
some of them you have to pay for.
That's what I was saying.
There's one
like
for
some
millionaires.
There's
one for people that are looking.
They're in that bracket.
And I think you have to pay for that site because then you just get a bunch of people that are looking for.
Well, absolutely.
For people's money.
I can kind of understand that, but going back to you saying that, some of them you pay for. Yeah, some of these are literal investments.
Mm-hmm. I didn't use any of the pay ones.
I wonder.
I think there's probably a quality difference in the people that use the free stuff and the people that actually pay to do it.
Return on your investment do you get? But at the same time, I feel like even when you're doing the face-to-face dating without the internet, I mean, there's still a ton of work and things that you go through. I just think it depends on how you want to approach that work and what you're most comfortable with. I do feel like how it is when you have technology, you gain in some ways and you lose in others.
Sure.
And I do think that a lot of people are very socially awkward and don't always know how to conduct themselves.
That is true. I've heard some horror stories.
Beyond being able to chat it up online because they're so comfortable now doing it this way that a face-to-face meeting is so ungodly uncomfortable to them. And it's just like people are kind of a mess. Like, so I kind of hate that we've kind of gotten away from that. I mean, myself, like I said, I know there's still you have to meet face to face at some point if you want to explore anything.
Well, that's true. That speaks to another thing is this online dating. The internet computers are addictive. You can get addicted to the online dating scene to the point where it does affect your personal life. Like you can easily look at the internet and what because people put out the best of who they.
Of course,
you don't put out your profile and go, well, I got stomach issues and
I battle depression.
Yeah, you don't put your dirty stuff on there.
I'm on marriage number 5.
Right, exactly.
Or whatever. I don't know.
You put
Maybe
up the best picture you can think.
Yeah.
You make yourself look like you're
you want to put your best foot forward,
absolutely.
Of course.
And then people see that and they expect that.
Well, yeah.
And then they expect what the computer has shown them, and then their circle of expectation gets super small. So when they go out, they can't accept reality. They can only accept what they have been, what they've seen on the internet. And the internet, just like magazines and media, it's perfection. is what it's
absolutely.
being. And so your your circle of expectations shrinks the more media you consume.
Yeah.
Because
you're right.
Because all they're showing you is airbrushed perfection.
Right.
And that's the same thing with these online sites. When you go on there, you were telling people, I have no flaws. Or my flaws are fun and quirky. You know, here's a picture of me that may be 10 years old or airbrushed all to hell. Or, you know, and like people are like, wow, this person is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I cannot wait. There was a girl, we were super like excited to meet each other. And like, oh my gosh, and this is the girl that we went to the Dodgers baseball game. And we had been chatting, and this was probably 2012. So not too terribly long ago, 5 years. And her picture, I was just like, wow, this person seems like she's perfect. And she was like, I'm super excited. Like, I do this online stuff all the time. And it's never really, and like, I'm excited to meet you. And I was like, I don't do this, but I'm excited to meet you. And we had this, both of us had this expectation. And then when we met at the bar before we went to the Dodgers game, it would literally within about 5 minutes, it was like, wow, you are not what I want. You are not how you portrayed yourself. I was expecting something very different. And it was palpable on both sides.
Yeah.
And we did. We went to the game. I had bought tickets and we hung out, and it was literally one of those nice to meet you.
Glad we met.
Good luck with your life kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow. And that's just because you can get this expectation in your head, and that's what the media is great at. I work in the Hollywood system, and that's kind of what
selling.
It's a selling of a lifestyle. It's a selling of.
That's what a preview of a movie is, right? They sell this movie, and you're like, oh my god.
And then you go to the movie, and you're like, oh, but then there's all this stuff in the middle that they don't show you.
Wait, and then sorry, sidebar. You know what really upsets me is when I go and there's something in the preview that is not in the movie at all.
They do that all the time.
They just did it for the editing of the. Oh man. And I'm like, what?
And that happens.
Where's that scene?
That happens all the time.
Yeah, because
online
I think
dating.
It's
when you create your profile, when you create your profile, you're basically creating yourself.
I think it's challenging. That's the thing.
That you can possibly create.
I think it's challenging to really make a 3D person from a one-dimensional platform.
Right.
I wish I would see, I know it's the commercials and they have to sell it a certain way, but I would love to have a commercial that's like, has a couple that has made it. They got married, they met online, but I would like the guy to say, you know what? I was out here for a while and I got discouraged or I was getting disappointed and then I finally met. So don't give up kind of a thing. Cause I think that's more of a reality from what I hear a lot more of. It's, I just hope nobody gets a false sense that they're going to get on there and boom. I'm sure that happens, but very rarely.
Right. Depends on your personality.
I think ultimately what gets in the way is, you got to develop a relationship no matter what.
Right.
No matter what kind of, unless you're doing something that is like, I guess, Tinder or Grindr that are more geared towards non-relationships, geared towards, it's been a while and I'd like to have a little good time. Mm-hmm. And
nothing
more power to those people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just be safe.
Yes, please be safe.
Be safe on all of it.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're going to use Match or eHarmony or you name the one, and you're actually going to go out and meet with somebody, let somebody know what's happening. Just because you're going to meet a stranger who might very well be a serial killer for all you know.
Yeah.
So, it's less and less, but don't be stupid about your safety.
I think with anything, when you get a description of anything, before you go to see a college or whatever, we get all the pamphlet and the information, but you really don't want to even have expectations or make a decision until you go to X, Y, and Z or
take the tour.
Until you go to the car dealership and actually see it in person, take it for a spin and all that stuff. So I would just encourage people to try they're best to not have certain, like you said, certain expectations, but to be open. Like, okay, you've gotten the pamphlet. Their account is the paperwork.
All right.
But go in and really, I guess, take them for a test drive. That might not have been the best metaphor.
Take the tour.
But yeah, take the tour and try it on and see how it goes. But I think you're right. I think when people are building up, and I get it, when I see like hotels online, I'm like, sweet. And then you get there and you're like, I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
This isn't what the picture looked like.
Quite, yeah.
Those roaches weren't in the picture. So.
I know. Well, I'm Angel Davis.
And I'm Peter Hermes.
And you've been listening to Verbally Naked. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're going to explore, what media we're going to explore, but we'll be back.
That's right.
And as always, live big.